Hello and welcome to Reach Belief's second cookalong with It's Halal, formerly known as Halal Fresh. The company is still the same concept with Saima, and she's going to tell us about her exciting new rebrand later in the show. So this year's cookalong is to mark Buddha's birthday today, and we'll be learning more about Buddhism throughout the show. So we have Saima and Lily in the kitchen in London. They'll be making a really tasty veggie Thai green curry with black rice. And later in the show, we'll be joined by Marie, who works in editorial. So Marie's a Buddhist and will be telling us about the religion and her personal story towards the faith. But first, I'm going to hand you over to Saima.
Thank you. Thank you, Marianne. I really appreciate us being back on board again. So I'm joined by Layli, our superstar chef, and we will be cooking, as you said, the vegetarian Thai green curry. What I would like to point out is that one of the ingredients is fish, but you can omit the fish because we have included in the recipe bag itself 2 sachets of soy sauce to replace the saltiness of the salt. And we'll start off with the black rice because that takes the longest. And I'll hand you over to Layli.
Hi, people. So we were starting with the black rice. It takes around 35 minutes to be ready. So put a little bit of water, like 500 ml, 750 ml.
Yeah.
And in a small pan, you just place the rice, add the water, and
you let that cook first.
Heat for around 35 minutes with the lid partly closed.
Yes. And the reason why the rice takes longer is because it's a different type of grain. That's why. And it's one of the best things about this rice is that it has lots of antioxidants and it's very nutritional. And it's one of the rices that actually used to be eaten by royalty in China. So it's a really sort of, but it's got to have a rubbery taste. So that's when you know when it's completely cooked. And this is why we put it on first. And then we'll start off with chopping the vegetables, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you see in the card, it will tell you exactly how to prepare the recipe. So now that you put the rice on, we start chopping and preparing all the vegetables. So
yeah.
So what I like to do to be easier is bring the vegetables all around. I also have a small bowl here where I put all the scrapes and skins and things.
That's because Layli's very tidy, that's why.
But I think this helps everyone that is cooking at home to have a more organized, and it makes it easier to cook.
Yes,
so to help you more.
Yeah, and we've already sort of portioned out all of the ingredients that will go with it. So you've got your curry paste here, and then you've got your fish sauce, you've got your soya sauce, and then you've also have your 2 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And it just depends how much you want to use, but we always recommend between 2 to 4 tablespoons. And then, of course,
coconut milk as well.
Yeah.
So let's start with the onion. It's just peel and dice the onion.
Yeah.
One thing is very cool to do if you are a vegetarian or vegan, or if you're not, you can keep all the peels and scrapes and stalks in a freezer and make a vegetable stock, which is really, really good.
So therefore, there's no waste at all whatsoever.
Exactly.
Everything you can actually use from all the ingredients that we provide you with. Even with the rice, you can also actually drain the rice and actually drink it. And it's really good for you by adding a little bit of honey in it. So therefore, you're not also wasting the rice water, which is sort of purple color. It has a very strong, potent taste to it. So the honey will take that away by adding honey to the water, should you want to drink it.
So while
is anyone cooking along with us? Do we know?
Yeah, we hope everyone's going to be joining. So while you're busy chopping, Layla, I'm just going to hand over to Marie. So Marie, could you just tell us a bit about how you become a Buddhist?
How I became Buddhist? Yeah. So my name is Marie. Yes, and I've been a Buddhist for 19 years now, and I was introduced by a friend of mine who didn't say, "Oh, become a Buddhist." I actually saw the changes in her life, that she became more happy, more connected to what she was doing and to me and everything. And then I thought, like, I'll go along to a meeting. So I practice a type of Buddhism called Nichiren Buddhism, which is Japanese. And the main practice we do is that we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and using beads. I have my beads with me. So we chant in the morning and the evening. And then the idea is that we become wiser, more compassionate and courageous people. So I sort of just became a Buddhist because I was interested in philosophy, and I wasn't sort of aware that it was a religion, but of course it is, because it explains life and the universe. So it is a religion as well. Yeah. So my daily practice is partly to connect with other people, to help them with whatever they find difficult in their lives. Because the whole point of Buddhism is, of course, to overcome the suffering in your daily life. And you do that by practicing and become more pure. But that pure would mean in the sense of that you become more aware of who you are and how the world around you is working. So.
And Marie, I wonder if you could perhaps tell us a tiny little bit about Buddhism itself, maybe the origins of Buddhism, if you'd like to share that.
Yeah, so Buddhism actually started 2,500 years ago in Nepal. There was a prince, very rich and protected prince. He was like probably not out amongst people, but in the castle all the time. And his name was Siddhartha Gautama from the Shakyamuni sect. So quite a lot of people knows the original Buddha as Shakyamuni. He went to the 4 exits of the castles one by one, and he saw regular people outside and saw that they were suffering. And so, like at the first gate, he saw an old man. I've written it down here so I wouldn't forget. And a sick man on the next, a corpse on the 3rd exit. And later on, he saw a monk or a yogi doing religious practices. And he was really interested in helping people, or his people, to attain peace and not be suffering. So he actually left the castle and its riches and everything when he was 29. And then he traveled everywhere and tried to help people with their suffering and tried to understand the meaning of life. And at 35, he was awakened. He understood how we are all connected and the meaning of one's existence. And he achieved that when he was sitting meditating on it under a pipal tree, which I think is a fig tree. So it ties into the cooking, I guess. And also, like, I think if people have seen Buddha heads, they often see that there's sort of cone-shaped sort of head or hair on him. And that's a symbol of 108 snails that apparently crawled up on his head to protect him from the heat when he was meditating. And they gave their lives for his cool thinking. So that's why he's represented in the Buddha heads, you see. And then when he had awakened to us all being connected and to avoid the sufferings of life, he traveled for the next 10 years of his life, expounding these teachings. And they are sort of collected in what is called sutras. So there are many sutras, and they have all the sort of same meaning, if you will, in them.
That's really interesting, Marie. Thank you. So what's happening in the kitchen, Loli?
So right now I just finished peeling and cutting all the flavors per se. Like we have here onion, garlic, ginger, spring onion, and coriander. Now I will be peeling and preparing the vegetables. Everything we are doing here while the rice
is being cooked. Because the dish itself doesn't take that long. It's the rice that takes the longest. Otherwise, you could probably make this dish within 30 minutes, couldn't you?
Yeah, it's very easy to make the curry.
Yeah, very easy to make the curry. So that's the reason why you say put the rice on first, and then the vegetables you can take your time chopping and peeling and so forth. But it's really interesting to hear about, Marie, about Buddhism, because it's very similar to Islam, which I don't want to bring it into because I know we're celebrating Buddha Day, but the philosophy is very much the same for when we fast. And so it's really interesting to hear that all of these different religions and their culture and traditions are entwined, which is really, really interesting sort of to understand how different cultures celebrate their day and what it means to them, from whether it's from gratitude, whether it's from humility, whether it's from generosity and giving, because that's what the basis of all religions is, So it's really interesting to hear your, how you came into it.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, of course, that we've decided to choose the Thai meal today is because Thailand is the country with the second largest number of Buddhists in it. I've actually been doing my reading. So although Buddhism originated in India, it very quickly spread. And at the moment, I think we've got China, we've got Thailand, we've got Japan, Myanmar, obviously Sri Lanka, large Buddhist population there, Vietnam, Cambodia, South Korea, and Malaysia, all countries with fairly significant Buddhist populations.
Absolutely. And you've got Bangladesh as well, and you've got Indonesia as well, which is recognized as one of the Buddha Days, recognized as a public day off, which is really refreshing from a Muslim country point of view, that they've acknowledged Buddhism and given it the platform that it deserves and its teachings by giving it a day off as a public holiday. Because my aunt is Indonesian, so she taught me a little bit about Buddhism. But you're very right, Sammy, that there's so many different countries that celebrate Buddhism in their own way, and it's really refreshing and really nice to see how different people celebrate it in different countries. Singapore is another country also.
Alltså, a little bit of there are quite a lot of Buddhist sects that don't celebrate that particular day. I mean, like the sect I'm doing in Japan, sort of don't celebrate the Buddha because it's that the principle of equality, that we're all the same. So it's not like a sort of God. There is no God in Buddhism as such.
No, it's about philosophy of life, isn't it? It's the way of life. That's what Buddhism is about. It's the teachings of it that people sort of celebrate. And you're right, that different people celebrate it for different reasons. And some days are longer than others. Because I know I think it's Singapore, but don't quote me on it, in Indonesia, I think they celebrate it for like between 3 to 5 days. So different countries celebrate the number of days differently. But it's really interesting how different countries celebrate it and embrace as to what Buddhism means. And I guess it just means to be spiritual, to be connected to yourself and to nature.
So there's the essence of Buddhism is, of course, to find a way to alleviate suffering in self and others. So the old man and the sick man corpse and the practitioner of the religious practices that this original Buddha, Shakyamuni, saw when he went outside his castle, represent birth, sickness, old age, and death, and being the four noble truths, or the truth of suffering in a life. And by birth, I guess that means to be born into this life that is full of suffering. So that's what we try to do to maybe transform suffering into joy rather than try to avoid it, because as we all know, we can try to avoid difficult situations, but
it's to embrace it. Where there's darkness, there's light, and I think that's what this is about, that yin and yang also that comes into play.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I think, Marie, you did actually mention the fact that there are lots of different sects of Buddhism. My husband, for instance, is a Buddhism, but he says he comes from the Theravadan tradition. Now, I think you come from the Mahayana tradition, is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So there's like broadly the 3 different schools of Mahayana, and Theravada, and Vajrayana. Yes, sorry, I can't even pronounce it.
Yes. Also, officially, I'm supposed to say thank you for not saying Hinayana. So,
I am because
so sorry. No. So for everyone else, very, very in the very early stages, the two traditions were actually called literally the higher and the lower. So maha means higher, hina means lower. And now the reason that they are now called Theravadins is because they slightly objected to having a term that literally meant lower. But I think for you, the Lotus Sutra is perhaps one of the most important sutras, isn't it, Marie?
It's absolutely the most important. It wasn't, I think it was the third or second to last sutra that the Buddha taught. And the lotus in itself is a symbol, is a common Buddhist symbol for cause and effect. And the reason why they've chosen the lotus is because that's one of the few plants that flowers and seeds at the same time. So the cause and effect are simultaneous. That's why its symbol is a lotus flower. The teaching in the lotus flower is exactly that. It's like we are all connected, and there is a consequence to all your actions, whether they are your thoughts, your words, or your deeds.
So just back to Lily, sorry. Lily, what's next? All the veg is chopped?
Yeah, so we have a very colorful and tasty vegetables.
Looks really healthy.
I cut them. I try to cut in a beautiful way. So we also will be eating food that is looking good and tasting amazing.
And then these are the herbs and all the other stuff that she's also already prepared. But that looks beautiful. It's like a little flowery plate.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's going to start off by adding the oil. And once the oil is hot, and then we'll add the onion, the ginger, and the garlic. But I really love this dish. This is one of my favorite Thai dishes, actually. It's so versatile that you can add meat to it. You can add, obviously red meat. You can add white meat. You can also add fish to this dish as well. And you can really play around with the vegetables. Here, of course, we've only got the broccoli, the carrot, the baby corn, and the runner beans. But you could also add cauliflower. You could also add sweet potato if you wanted to. You could add pak choy to it as well. What else is there? There's so many other vegetables that you can add to this dish. And this is why I love this dish. And it's healthy as well. And it's nutritious. So yes, it's one of my favorite. And actually Thai cuisine is one of the top 10 cuisines. So yeah, so it made absolute sense because I thought it's quite befitting for the occasion as well. And it fitted the theme. Because normally on these days, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marie, that during the Buddha days, you don't eat any meat at all whatsoever. Is that correct? And you only eat vegetables?
I have to admit that I don't actually know, because I personally don't celebrate Buddha Day as such.
Okay, yeah, because I was reading it somewhere that different sects and different sort of countries, they see as this day is just not, as obviously it's about life, so therefore they don't take away life on these particular days. And it's all about vegetarian and make sure that you're actually eating from this earth, from the earth.
I think, again, as Marie says, depends on the sect that you belong to.
Exactly, it does. Yeah, everyone's different. And that's what's the nice thing about it as well, because you can learn from each other from all these different sects.
And all your dishes are really healthy, aren't they, Sima? They're all everything on your menu is super healthy.
Yes, absolutely. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that we look at about how healthy our dish is. And we always think about sort of proportion sizes as well, which is your vegetables, your meat, your carbs, your vitamins, your minerals, and so forth. And you will see that there's a balance here. As you can see that you've got your sort of 4, 5, actually your 4 veggies as part of your 5 a day. And then you've got the balance of all, your spring onion, your ginger, your garlic, and then of course your whole onion, spring onion, and then you've got your herbs as well. So for me, when we create anything, we always talk about having it properly portioned out and the weights of it as well, that you will see on the recipe card. We don't have it on here. But actually, no, we do. So you've got your 50 grams of curry paste, and that's to balance the flavor. But we do put in there that please make sure that you only add half. Taste it for the hotness, because some people like it hot and some people don't. So we always say it's instructed in the recipe card. And then again, you'll see all of the measurements and everything are being portioned out. So the food and the dish itself is in equilibrium, that is balanced with flavor.
I've tried.
Are you ready?
With the oil. Yeah. And we will add the aromatics, which in this recipe is onion, garlic, and ginger.
Yeah. And then we'll fry this for a good few minutes. That's really interesting. I can already smell it, actually.
Yes.
If anyone's cooking along, do let us know how you get on with cooking.
Yeah, we've got loads of comments coming through. A lot of people are cooking, and people are
They
saying the
are?
food's really yummy. Yeah.
Yeah. And the curry paste that we have, which is authentic Thai green curry paste. So I hope people will really enjoy the paste.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
quite
another thing that we're
spicy.
quite big on, as you know, Mariam, that all the soy sauces and the spices are authentic to the dish. We don't want to deviate from it, although we do add our own twist. But we always keep in mind that all the ingredients are authentic to the dish. So we don't take away from that at all.
All your dishes on the menu represent different cultures as well, don't they, Simon?
Pardon, I didn't hear you, Mariam?
All your recipes on the menu, they represent different cultures. So
Yes,
you've got
absolutely. So,
Italian,
for instance, like we have Brazilian because, of course, Lady is Brazilian. But we have over 10 different cuisines from Mexican, French, Spanish, Italian, Indian, African, North African, Jamaican. Because it's really important for us to not only think about the food, but also the culture of the food, right? And the tradition of the food as well. And so for us, it's really important to educate. And you'll find in the introduction, we'll always put something about either the culture, the tradition, or where the recipes come from, where it's originated from. So for us, that's really, really important to also educate whilst you eat. But we definitely, for us, it's really important for us to have a holistic sort of overall feel of when we're putting recipes together. Like now, we were actually discussing earlier on what is going to be our next set of recipes. So we were discussing that.
And I would like to add that Simon has a care and a thought about food towards having spices and exploring flavor in a very careful manner. So I really enjoy working with her recipes.
Thanks.
And we are always looking out for spices and hot food in a way that it's only Simon's and it's halal way.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, because, and you've actually known that as well, that when we use different spices, as to what those spices mean, what's the authenticity of it. And you know, Mary, we live in our own culture. It's about flavor. And for me, flavor is really big. And for you also, right?
Yes.
And that's what makes it really good to work with Lady when we're putting these recipes together. My favorite cuisine to work with is actually Thai cuisine. I love working with Thai.
Me too.
That's one of my favorite cuisines to work with,
So
because
we
it's
are now
flavorsome.
adding half of the curry paste.
Yeah.
And
Just mix it all together.
mix together, and then adding the coconut milk.
Yeah. And again, you don't have to follow the method as we've instructed. You can actually, it's also about you can use your own sort of instinct. You may find that actually you don't want to put in the coconut milk. You may just want to add in the spring onion, the soya sauce, or some of the vegetables, and then maybe add the coconut milk at the end. There's so many different ways that you can actually put this dish together, which is really nice. So you can actually have your own sort of take on it as well, your own twist.
We've got a lot of our colleagues at home saying their kitchen smells amazing.
Oh, it does? Oh, good. I'm glad. Tell us how it tastes if it's not too chilly. One dish, we did the Pandan chicken curry. Oh, my God. A lot of people came back and said how chilly it was, but we used the authentic paste, and it was chilly. Even for me, who loves chili, it was very, very chilly. And at the time when I tasted it, I didn't really think it was that chilly. It's only afterwards, once we produced it, put it out there, and then I made it again. I thought, oh my God, this is really chilly. But yeah.
I think the trick is to just add it bit by bit, the paste and all the spices, see how much you can handle.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Add it as in how much you like of it, and which we now put into the recipe as an instruction, whereas before we didn't do that. But we learned through experience that for us to add that, because not everyone likes it as hot as some others.
Simon, just tell us about your rebrand as well.
Yeah, it was really, is it nice?
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Would you like to
The rebrand, it was really interesting because I wanted to sort of like evolve from what we were called Halal Fresh, and I thought, what does the brand mean? What is it communicating? And you won't believe this, even though we were called Halal Fresh, people would say, is it halal? Is it halal? To which I would always reply, yes, it's halal. So it just made sense, didn't it, for us to sort of change it to it's halal, sort of take it to the sort of the next phase of its growth, if you like. And I'm really liking the new brand. I don't know whether you've seen it. I think you may have done. I'm not sure, Marion, but I'm really liking the way that we've sort of grown from what we were. And a lot of the customers have really appreciated sort of the new look, the new feel, and the recipe card from what it was before and what it is now. Whereas the last recipe cards, you sort of had the vegetables at the top, and now you've got the vegetables next to the ingredients. So we've improved a lot, and it's really been an interesting journey. And I've loved actually building a whole new brand, but retaining its principles, its morals, its ethics, its value proposition to our customers, and improving ingredients and listening a lot more, which we've always obviously done, but a lot more, to getting more involved with our customers, which is really nice. And just developing sort of recipes that we wouldn't normally think of sort of developing, like Argentinian is the next thing we're going to do, because we haven't done Argentinian food, have we?
No, it will be the first time.
It'll be the first time, yeah.
I'll look forward to tasting that, Simon. You know who your tester
Yeah,
is.
no, I'm looking forward to it as well, because I've never cooked Argentinian food. That's the only one cuisine that I haven't actually cooked. Have you?
Yes, because Brazil is close to Argentina, and we share some references, like, for instance, dulce de leche.
Yes.
Is something that it has a place in Brazilian cuisine and also in Argentinian cuisine.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so Lady's going to teach you, because I've had Brazilian food, but I've never cooked it. So it'll be really interesting to see how that develops. But I'm sure we'll do good, because we will definitely not put it out there unless we're 100% happy with it.
So right now, we just give it a taste and see if it's good for you on the
Heat.
And if it's not, you can add a little bit more of the curry paste. Try it, Simon.
This is the sort of,
It's good.
That's got heat in it, right?
Yeah. So
actually, that's got, yeah. I don't think we need any more heat, do we?
no, I think it's good.
I think it's good, yeah. We have to compromise, you see.
Right now, we add the soy sauce, and if you are not vegan or vegetarian,
yeah.
you can add also the fish sauce.
But bearing in mind that the fish sauce, sorry, Lady, is just a flavoring. So that's one of the reasons why we still called it vegetarian. But yeah, you can add it if you don't want the fish sauce.
So now we go in with the vegetables, and we just cover it and wait a little bit just to the vegetables cook, but still have a little bit of texture.
And crunch to it as well. You want the tender. You don't want it to completely soften the vegetables, because that's when retains all the nutrients as well. So you want to make sure that you just don't overcook the vegetable. Has a bit of a bite to it. Oh, that looks delicious. I can't wait for lunch.
So just going back,
I know.
Just going back to Marie. Marie, could you just tell us a bit about how you incorporate your faith in everyday life? Because I know you've said to me that you do sort of chanting in the morning. I'm quite interested to hear more about that.
Yeah. I can tell more. So sorry, I get in my voice. Every morning I start chanting. And I practice in my voice. Somebody can sort out. I chant the Lotus Sutra every morning, and it is Sanskrit and written down in Japanese. Can you hear me? And so I can show you. So I read all these things. I'm actually going to give you information. So I chant no more than my beats up. I chant. Nam yo renge nam yo renge nam yo renge. And every day, like the idea of chanting is, of course, like I said earlier, that I will become wiser, more courageous, and more compassionate. And these are the qualities you need in order to overcome suffering that is in everyday life anyway. If you remember what I was saying about the snails on the Buddha's head when he was meditating, there were 108 of them, and they correlate with the 108 earthly desires every human has. So in every day, of course, you have desires, things you want to happen for you, things you want to achieve. And traditionally, people have thought that desires is what you achieve to have them go away, that you will have nirvana, like where you have peace and you don't have any desires in your life, nothing, no suffering, and just peace. But in everyday life, that doesn't happen. You have problems, and to overcome them, to turn the problems into a joyful situation. Oh, thank you. You will change your attitude. So, like, the reason I'm practicing is to change my attitude to my problems. Like, if you're ill, you might ask, why am I ill? Why did that happen to me? But it's a better question, perhaps, to say, what can I do about the situation, right? And this is where I use my Buddhist practice, that I know that everything happens for a cause and effect. Everything I do, I try to do what is making me suffer less or help other people suffer less. Yeah, so because we're all connected, like I know that if I have a situation where I'm suffering with maybe a hard financial situation or difficult people or whatever it is, I will practice in order to see the situation from their point of view, perhaps. So it's very practical dealing with everyday life. Yeah.
Thanks, Marie, for that. Back to Simon. What's next? Sorry about the technical issues there.
I know. I wasn't sure whether I was hearing things or whether it was my iPad. But yeah, no. So the rice has been cooked. It's nearly cooked. We're still waiting for that rubbery texture, and once that's cooked, and then I think we're ready to serve. What do you think?
Yes.
Because I'm absolutely starving. Has everyone eaten, or is everyone?
No one's eaten yet.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's ready here.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of checking the rice. And if it's good, we are ready to serve. How about you? Everyone who is cooking.
Yeah,
The rice is already good?
They're not far behind from you, Simon. Simon, we're just having trouble hearing you. Sorry, we can't hear you, Simon. We can hear Lily, but not Simon.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
No,
Can you make your main camera, the camera that's in the front of us, can you turn the mic on there?
Unmute the main camera.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I think the thing about our recipes is so easy to follow. You've tried our recipes, and I know Ken has, and so has the others. But when you try them, we make it really easy to follow, because we think it's really important that, because we're not there to guide you should you get stuck as to what should I do next or not. So we make it really easy to follow. So it's good to hear that people can follow. That's a bonus. That's a good thing.
One of our colleagues, Hannah's added all the paste. She says she loves the heat.
Does she? She's daring. She's adding all of it.
She's added all of it, and Millie said that she's hoping the spices will blow away the cobwebs because she's just had COVID.
Yes, that will. Or it gets sweat out all the toxins.
Yeah, that's the only way, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. No, it's like I said, it's up to people whether they prefer the heat or not. But it's really nice when people do because it means that great, you know. At least we kind of accommodate those different heat appreciation. But I know that I'm starving at all. I'm definitely starving now. I can smell it all. It smells beautiful, even if I didn't say so myself.
Yeah, Shoma cheated and made it last night, didn't you, Shoma?
Oh, what did you
I
think,
did,
Shoma?
yes.
Did you enjoy it?
It was absolutely amazing, and I did do a Millie Reeves, as it's now officially going to be called, Millie. Thank you. And I put in all of the paste before I realised that the instructions had actually said, "Ooh, you might want to go with a little bit less." So it was, as my French housemate used to say, agressif. But it was absolutely amazing, really, really tasty.
No,
So yeah, I wasn't going to tell everyone I was cheating. I was just going to produce the picture and say, "Here's what I've done earlier."
Sorry, Shoma.
Yeah, please do tag us. But whoever's making the dish, please tag us on It's Halal Official on Instagram and It's Halal UK on Facebook. And then we're on Twitter as well as It's Halal UK. So do tag us once you've made the dish and let us know what you think of it.
We will do. So the black rice, is that ready?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
the black
our
rice.
black rice is ready.
Oh, great.
So you can see it here. The texture is amazing. The grains are squishy and well cooked.
Because it's got to have that rubbery effect, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that's when you know that it's cooked.
So, and here is the curry.
That's the curry. You can add water as well if you want, which we don't mention it in the instructions because we think it's nice to have a nice sort of slight runny consistency. But
Yeah.
if you want it more runny, then you can add water to it. But
Yeah, we've got a bit of a paste conversation going on. So Eddie said he's glad that he waited because he couldn't put all the paste because he can't handle the heat.
Although Coretta has in fact gone and gone with all the paste as well. Coretta, congratulations on being brave.
oh, wow!
So we've got
Yeah,
a paste wall going
congratulations.
on. We've got a paste wall going on here.
Yeah, because I actually, even though Lady put half the paste in, I thought it was quite chilly. So if she put the rest of it in, I think I would have blown my brains. I think it would have done. I don't think I can take the heat today for some reason. Maybe it's the hot weather. I'm not sure.
Quite hot.
So very
Sorry, why did you choose black rice over white rice? What?
I want it to be different. Because I know that normally Thai food is served with white rice, and I just thought it'd be nice to offer something different to customers that wouldn't normally think of trying black rice. And I really wanted to introduce black rice into our offering, and most of our customers have loved it because once they've tried it, they thought, wow, they didn't realise that it tastes just as normal rice, but it has more of a texture to it and more of a taste to it in terms of it's like a sweet almost.
Yes.
It's like a sweet taste, but not sweet.
It's a little nutty.
Nutty.
Sometimes you can rest like a chocolatey thing.
Yeah, and I think people enjoy the combination, and I enjoy the combination as well because I like experimenting with different ingredients and cuisines and infusing them. So it makes it more fun and creative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to serve it, I will put in a bowl here with some of the vegetables and the sauce.
It looks brilliant.
I know.
So tasty.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Soma. Because for me, I always get nervous. Do you when somebody tries our recipe for the first time? Not that we don't have any confidence, we just never know what people are going to think of it or how they're going to. Are they going to enjoy it? Are they not going to enjoy it? You know, so it's nice.
No, it was absolutely amazing. And because I was feeding my kids as well, I put in a little bit more. Sorry, Layli, back to
No,
you.
that's fine.
So finish with the coriander and the spring onion, and that's it, our meal for today.
Oh, brilliant. That looks amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so tasty.
it is. We'll keep that there. We won't eat in front of you because that's rude, so we won't touch it just yet. We'll wait. Yeah, so that's done. I think that's done within time, right? What time is it now?
40 minutes. That's pretty amazing. It does say 40 minutes on your recipe card, to be fair.
Yes, I know. We're very stickler for time, and so is Lainey. She's a stickler because Jalene is a baker, so you can imagine what bakers are like. They're very precise and about everything that they do. So for us, timing is really important. I mean, we've got to get that right because then these customers, you know, they plan their evening, so when they come home and say, okay, that's going to take 30 minutes, that's going to take 40 minutes, and then they can plan the rest of their evening. So I think it's important that we share precise time as 99% of the time. Yeah. We get it right.
We take in count that this time is not for like faster people in the kitchen. It's for normal people. Like we took our time peeling and cutting all the ingredients in a not in a fast-paced way, but in a normal way. So that's it.
And I think no more than an hour in the kitchen is reasonable time. I mean, I know a lot of people now ask, well, can you cook something 15, 20 minutes, which we're going to have a go at, right?
Yes.
So that's going to be a really good challenge for us. Can we make the dish within 15 to 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
We challenged you to the veggie biryani last year, didn't we? For
yes, you did.
And you did.
You did, and we did that.
A complicated dish was very simplified. So it was... Yeah, and we've got Hannah here, our colleague, saying I've saved the rice water, which she's going to drink later on.
Oh, perfect. Yes, do that, because I tend to do that as well. Add honey to it because it can be quite a strong, as you said, nutty taste. Add honey to it, and honestly, it's really good for the system. It's a detoxifier and it's a cleanser, and I swear by it.
Yeah, there were a lot of comments about the amazing color of the rice, and I have to confess, I actually soaked my rice beforehand because I was nervous about it not cooking on time. And yes, it just, you know, the rice color water was amazing, and I can definitely see, you know, some good uses for that one. So Hannah, you know, let us know how it goes, and we want to hear what you did with the rice, how you like the rice water. But somebody else has actually made. Eddie says, I wonder if it could be used as a natural food colorant. Oh, Easter was over. We could have made Easter eggs in black rice and coloured them purple, which would have been amazing.
You probably could do.
Yes, it's like it has an aubergine.
Or would you like beetroot colour almost to it? Like aubergine beetroot colour. But no, it's an amazing rice. I love it. I think the next rice we want to introduce is red rice, is what I'm looking into right now.
Another thing that I already use the black rice water to do is bread. It looks beautiful and it gives so much like nutrients to the bread. So it's really nice. Instead of water, you can use any colored vegetable water like the red rice.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about, you know, cooking. You can be so creative and really get out of your comfort zone and try different things. That's what makes it more enjoyable of an evening, rather than thinking, what should I cook and should I get eat the same food? And if you can spend 40 minutes to an hour on yourself, it's like self-care as well. And it's really important what you put into your body. So yeah, it's all part and parcel of the process for us as well.
Fantastic. Okay, Marie, back to you a little bit, because I just wanted to ask you one question about, oh, by the way, anyone who's on the feed and wants to ask a question of Marie, please pop it in the comments. My own question, Marie, is I wondered if you wanted to tell us a little bit about how, I've heard people often say Buddhism is more a philosophy than a religion, and I wondered if you wanted to give us your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I can see why, because this is why I was sort of drawn to Buddhism in the first place, because it felt like very not the religion, and I wasn't really interested in having a religion. I wanted to be a good person, but not necessarily pray to a god or something. And Buddhism is humanism, of course. That it's a way of living with respect for life. So it's a philosophy that is like respecting your own and other people's life, and that we are the knowledge that we all connected. So if you do something in your life to yourself or to people close to you, that would have an effect in time to come. You know, like karma is a concept that exists, of course, in the other religions too, but the karma, the word in itself means action in Sanskrit, and it's all the actions you do, like your thoughts, what you say, and what you do. And you can do that without it being a part of religion. You can like make sure that what you say and what you do are the highest good. So you have an opportunity to be cruel, and then you choose to not be cruel. But little choices like in everyday life like that is the cause that have a positive effect. And that's a philosophy, I guess, rather than religion.
That's great, thank you. And there's a lot about Buddhism that I don't think we've actually covered.
No.
Some sects of Buddhism, particularly the one that my husband follows, they're big on meditation. I know that you said that your sect doesn't necessarily follow that. There's a lot about reincarnation. I know it is a big question mark. I'd probably encourage everyone to go off and do all of their own research, maybe do a little bit more reading into it if you're at all interested by what you've heard today. One of the things...
add that if people do have specific questions about Nichiren Buddhism or Japanese Buddhism, like in the everyday life Buddhism, they're free to contact me directly. That's also right.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I think before we go back to Saima and the thank you from Mariam, Marie, you and I were talking about the story of the mustard seeds. Have you finally discovered what it was?
Yeah.
So the story that Marie told us earlier on about, how the origins of Buddhism, what I like, I've always been interested in Buddhism. What I like is the storytelling to tell a certain, to sort of provide a particular aspect of learning, I think I would say. And as I did promise, here's the story. I've been telling it to my kids since they were very little. And it's the story of a lady called Kisa Gotami, who was the wife of a rich man in a village. Her story is apparently one of the more famous ones in Buddhism. She lost her only son and she was completely distraught and, disconsolate and anything else that starts with a D. And somebody said, well, there is the Buddha. He's a wise man. Why don't you go and, ask him to help? So she went and she said, Buddha, you are a wise man. Will you please bring my son back? And he said, well, he thought about it for a bit. And then he said, well, I can do this thing that you want, but first you will have to get me a handful of mustard seeds from a house that has never known death. So she said, all right then. So she went to house number 1, knocked on the door and said, hi, can I have some mustard seeds? And they said, yeah, sure. And she goes, by the way, can I just check that, nobody in the house has ever died? And they go, well, I'm very sorry, my father-in-law passed away a while ago. So she went off to house number 2 and knocked on the door and said, hi, I'd like to borrow some mustard seeds, but can I please first ask, has this house ever known death? And they said, well, yes, rather unfortunately, my sister-in-law passed away. You can see where this goes. She basically went to the whole village and came back with the realization that there is no house that's free from mortality. Everybody dies. And that is one of my favorite stories about Buddhism. And that is why I told it to my children from a very young age, to get them used to the idea also that everyone is mortal. So that's my favorite story about Buddhism. Just wanted to share that.
Lovely share.
Brilliant. That's great. Well, I just want to finish off by saying thank you so much to Halal Fresh, not Halal Fresh, it's Halal, joining us for the second year. The dish looks super tasty. And well done to all our colleagues who have been brave enough to cook along live. And if you're cooking later, please, everyone, share your photos by emailing us at Reach Belief and tagging It's Halal. Thank you from Marie as well. Learnt loads today, and Shoma. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you for a great hour.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to say thank you so much for having us back. We've really enjoyed every bit with your last year and this year. I'm just glad that you really enjoyed the dish. And yeah, it's been really lovely to be part of this whole, being part of all of this. So thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that cooked along and sort of took notes of what I suggested. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.